Welcome back, everybody. Today, we're going to take a look at setting up footstep sounds inside of your first-person character. To do this, we're going to open up the blueprint for our player character, and inside of that, we're going to select our skeletal mesh that has our character to animate on there. And we're going to go and look at the animation class. The blueprint animation class that we're using is the Manny animation. That's the default for Unreal's male character. So I'm going to open that one up, and you can duplicate this if you don't want to mess with the original. But you can see in the blueprint class, there's a number of things that are being updated. It's looking to get certain values, get the character, capture the movement component, get movement speed. The velocity of the character is going to set the ground speed, and that's going to be a thing that's used to determine which animation is going to be played back by the skeletal mesh. And so we'll come up here and we'll start to look at the animation graph they have here. They set up a blend sample animation here, so we're going to have the kind of idle low speed walk if the player's at a low speed, and here you can see they set it up at 0, 230, and 500 units per second. So as I move forward, the animation starts to lean more towards the walk cycle, and then as I go forward, it goes more towards the run cycle, and at 500, it's at the full sprint. And we know that the default character setup for our player character uses the character movement, which has the default land speed of 600 units per second. So the max walk speed is going to be over that threshold, which means at 500, it's going to be running this animation. And so we know this is the animation that we're going to want to use if we're playing mouse keyboard. If you're going to be using a joystick or enabling a walk function, then you can start to target the other animations. But for us, we're just going to run through on the run animation. I'm going to click the little folder icon here with the magnifying glass to search for this animation. I can see run forward. And then now that's selected that, and you can see that it's got keyframes that already talk to the system about when the left or right foot is going to be placed down. So left, if I slow this down here, left foot down, and then right foot down, then left foot, and then right foot. And these are basically the timings that we're going to want to use for our footstep sounds. So to control this, I don't want to step on anything that they're doing here, no pun intended. And I'm going to add a notify track, and we're just going to call this footstep sounds. And on this track, I'm going to bring the playhead right on top of that other keyframe. I'm going to right click and say add notify. I'm going to choose a notify that will play sound. So when I play a sound, this sound is going to need a sound source. So I have loaded inside of my my project a number of audio cues from the Essential Footsteps kit. I'm going to look into the concrete footsteps here. I look under walk 2. I can take this and put it right up here. And now when I go back, it'll play on that spot. So all I need to do now that I have this set up is take this keyframe and then copy that over. And I'm going to zoom in a little bit so I don't step on it with the selection kit here. Set the keyframe over to the same spot. If my mouse would be precise enough for me. Make sure I have the right track selected, and then just paste that. And I can do the same thing over here. And I think we have 1 or 2 more over here. Okay, so we'll just go select these. Then we can zoom out a little bit. And you should be able to see this when I play it back. And now when I go to play, it's automatically built in there. Add the footsteps landing. When my footstep lands, it plays, and if I run into something, I'm not moving, so my speed is down, so animation's not playing. And that's fine. It's kind of boring because the footstep is the exact same footstep every time. This will lead to audio fatigue for the player, and so we want to change this up a little bit. In order to do this, we're going to go into this same folder here. You can see I was working on this earlier. We can just create a sound cue. So we'll go audio, and then we'll create sound cue. And SC, and we'll call this run set. And so in here with the sound cues, what I can do is I have my output. This is going to produce whatever sound we want. So if I wanted, I could take one of the sounds and put it over here and say that's the sound. Whenever I play, that's the sound that it plays. But I can also select a variety of options. Let's say concrete walk 1. These have just ever so different variations to them. And so I'm going to take these 8 concrete sounds. I'm going to have them selected. I can add them here independently, or I can come over here and say random, and I can either choose random or say from selected, and it'll create that random connection that will automatically hook up all my outputs for me. And if I didn't want that, I could choose random, and then I could just add pins and wire it up. This is just a shortcut for sake of optimization. But now with this option, where I have a variety of them, they're going to be randomly selected. Inside of this random, I'm going to come over here and I'm going to select each of these. And with all those selected, I'm going to choose my SC underscore run set. And now when I go to play, I get that variety of sounds that is played through that array list. So the sound cues actually give me the variation that makes it a little less of an audio fatigue. We can still do better than this. We have the option inside of Unreal to use something called Metasounds. So I'm going to come up here to Audio and choose Metasound Source. We'll call it MS run. Let's see, run array. Right. So when I come in here, Metasounds has a little different setup than some of the other systems that you see in Unreal, but it's actually pretty nice if you're used to a visual DAW. If you're any type of audio engineer, then some of these things are going to be very useful to you. But we're going to start off by trying to connect the input to a output for this that will generate the sound that is not only varied, but random in a way that is beyond what just sound sources we have available to us. So if I have a play, we can do a wave player here. We'll pull out a mono player. By default, Metasounds is set to mono. If you need stereo out, you can do that as well. But by default here, if I come in and I say I want to play, and then we'll come to out here, whenever it's finished, we'll throw that up. So it'll not throw a warning at us. But as I go to play, if I select an asset, let's get Footstep Walk 1. So if I put this in here, I'm going to go over to our animation kit here. And now we can run this to MS run array. And I just have the one run sound right now. Right, so we're kind of back to where we started with just having the default one. But inside of the array here, I'm going to, let's say, do a pitch shift. We'll do a random, take a random float. And I have to just take this from when the input fires, we'll go to next. And then when that next one is selected from this set, then we'll play the sound, and that will produce an output that will go to the mono channel. And so here, if I have the minimum one, let's make it a little exaggerated. I'll go from -5 to 5, but probably -0.5 to 3 would be a good range. As I go through here, you can hear the variation occurring with just this one set. And so with that random selection, we can actually expand this out where this is affecting the pitch, but I might want to affect the pitch of a variety of wave assets. So if I say get wave array or random get from a wave array, this is going to try and find a wave from an array of waves. So we'll just route this way, saying when this source is called, grab a random wave, and then modulate the pitch on that randomly, and then send that off to the output. And so for us to get this array, I'm just going to create a graph variable over here, and I can select all of these and just click and drag them onto the array list, and it'll populate that for me. And so now I get a very dynamic set of sounds with a very dynamic effect that basically I would have to, run hundreds of steps before I get a repeat statistically, and that'll allow for it to seem a little bit more organic, a little bit more engaging for the player, reducing audio fatigue. And possibly I might want to modify this a little bit with a compressor just to keep it from being so loud. I did something 5. And I'm not an audio engineer, so don't go by these numbers for your sounds, but as I go through, it's much quieter audio, a little bit easier to manage. So you can even modulate that a little bit randomly if you wanted the threshold or the ratio to be random. So sometimes it's louder, sometimes it's softer. And this isn't as robust as we could get it. There's another step further I'm not going to cover in this video where you would detect the material type of the floor And then the array set that you would use would be based off of what asset would load for the floor. Because like here, I'm just loading the concrete sounds, but there's of course walking and running and jumping on dirt and on glass and on gravel, and so each one of those is going to have their own kit of sounds, and you can kind of procedurally set this up. Hopefully, with that in mind, you can see where the Metasounds system is a little bit more robust because it allows for kind of a scripting system to parametrically pull in a variety of things to give you that fuller control over the content in your project, versus having to create a number of bespoke solutions for different contexts using just the sound cues or just the waves directly. So whatever it is, I hope this gives you an idea of how to implement Footstep sounds, and it lets you to go out there and keep building.